Hello, and welcome to Bucovery, where East meets West as we learn from Buddhist psychology how to deal with mental health and health issues. And now your host, Tyler Woods.
Hi, this is Tyler Woods, and welcome to Bucovery. You know, things happen in our life. That's going to be part of our life. And sometimes things happen that are disappointing or hurtful or sad. And sometimes things happen where we get frustrated or mad at someone, but things happen. Our interpretation of what happens to us plays a vital role as to how we process what's happened. Now, whether it's a death or a breakup or a betrayal or a loss of a job, a car accident, or something happens to your house or your car breaks down, whether it's a family feud or some sort of crisis, things happen in our life. And when things happen in my life, I try to use the Buddhist parable called the second arrow. And it's about how we react to a bad event. Now, there's a Buddhist parable referred to as the second arrow. And the story is about the Buddha asking one of his students a question. And the Buddha says, if a person is struck by an arrow, is it painful? And the student replies, it is. And the Buddha says, if the person is struck by a second arrow, is that even more painful? And the student replies, it is. And the Buddha then explained that in life, we can't always control the first arrow. However, the second arrow is our reaction to the first arrow. And with the second arrow comes the possibility of choice. Another way to state it is, pain is inevitable. It's going to happen. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is an option. Now, as a psychotherapist, I see the fallout daily of people who suffer from being struck by the second arrow. This second arrow represents our reaction to a negative event. Now, the second arrow can make the event much, much worse just by the way we react. Sometimes when things happen, we can manage to get through it by simply how we react. We have to know how we're going to react. For instance, let's say, here's one. Let's say you lost your job. Okay, that's the first arrow. Ouch, that hurts. You weren't expecting it, and it's painful, and it's scary. Now, here comes an opportunity to figure out, what are you going to do next? Yes, it's painful, and yes, it's scary. So are you going to go out and look for a new job and get a better job and be more successful? Or do you stay at home, smoke some weed, drink, play video games, and feel sorry for yourself? See, the Buddha says we cling to diversions rather than observing what is actually present, the arising and passings of feelings. Basically, we avoid pain in ways that create suffering. So to avoid the fact that you lost your job, let's say you get stoned or you drink all the time, you watch TV for a distraction, or you play games, or you're always on your phone, and the next thing you know, your bills are due. You may find that you lose your car and get kicked out of your place. And you begin to drink a little more and use more distractions. And you avoid doing the actual work. You don't look for the solution. So soon you're suffering and you're mad at the world because you lost your job. Then you internalize it. You begin to say, I'm no good. I'm a bad person. Boy, that second arrow is really not helping you right now. You lost your job. Okay, that's the first arrow. Drinking, drugging, watching TV, and not doing anything to get a new job and just feeling sorry for yourself, that, my friend, is the second arrow. And it's a choice. And I get it. None of us want to suffer or feel the pain. But I have to tell you that being able to accept and work through the discomfort and pain will help you in the long run. And it'll help you move away from pain and suffering and into a solution. See, dodging the bullet, or as we Buddhists say, avoiding the second arrow, that's what we want. The second arrow, unlike the first, is controllable. It is anguish caused by your thoughts after that hurtful blow takes place. So instead of working through the pain and discomfort of the first arrow, you find yourself adding the pain. I get it. It's far easier to go the land of self-medication or anesthetizing yourself, where you use food and shopping and sex and TV and self-imposed punishment, doing too much weed and drugs like opioids or psychostimulants like cocaine, caffeine, amphetamines. Oh, and the big one, video games. I wish I had an echo. Video games, because those are especially seductive, because they offer alternative fantasy worlds that someone can immerse themselves in as a way to isolate themselves from the world. And it causes avoidance and suffering. And if you don't have a video console, some people use these Dungeon and Dragon games and live in this fantasy world so they don't have to look at the real world. That, my friend, is a second arrow. And I tell my clients, we need to try to move forward by embracing the discomfort and using it as a tool to learn how to cope in healthy ways rather than letting the second arrow cause more pain. Basically, the best response we have to avoid the second arrow is to learn how to respond positively to the first arrow. So the best way to dodge that arrow is self-awareness. Be aware an event happened and it caused pain. Ask yourself a few questions. Am I willing to find a space in my heart to go towards? And to go towards that pain with love and acceptance? Am I willing to embrace what's going on with some kind of compassion for myself? Can I let go of judgments of myself and others? This clearly would be the beginning of stopping that second arrow and looking at an event with love in your heart, not with anger and fear and resentment. See, when you start to feel sorry for yourself and go on and on about how you were wronged or how awful life is, you sink into a hole and you suffer because you lack that love and esteem for yourself. Facing things, bad things, or as I would call it, the first arrow, head on with love, you will see positive results much more quickly. Look at the pain. You don't have to remember that it's always there. All you have to remember is this, that the second arrow never flies unless you resist the first. By resisting, you don't help the situation. Your anger, disappointment, hurt, stress, worry only gets worse if you turn the second arrow inward. And rather than suffering and being angry and telling yourself you can't do anything, start acknowledging the sensations of the first arrow without judgment. And I got to tell you, I get that it's uncomfortable to experience. Resisting what's happening or pretending it's not there or just being angry all the time about it, there's nothing you can do. And if you stop thinking people are just out to screw you, it doesn't make it go away. Try leaning into your growth by taking action. Don't get other people to take action for you. You take the action. How many times have I heard, it rendered me helpless, it paralyzed me, there's nothing I can do? Yep, that's because you made a choice to let the second arrow hit you. Look, you're going to get struck with the first arrow no matter what happens. It's part of life. The first arrow, it's going to strike. But here's the thing. Do you have what it takes to stop the second arrow? Can you work towards a solution rather than focusing on the problem? Can you stop the negative self-talk and find positive ways to get through? I want you all to consider this. What would it look like to bring an open heart and a whole lot of love to the situation, to the first arrow? Think about it. Pain is inevitable. That's the first arrow. But suffering, which is the second arrow, that, my friends, is a choice that only you can make. For now, this is Tyler Wood saying, walk in peace.